Okay. Some of our costs are what we call sunk costs. Sunk costs could originally have been either fixed or variable. It doesn't matter. When we talk about sunk costs, we're talking about costs that have already been paid out. And again, it doesn't matter whether they're fixed or variable. Sunk costs are not the same thing as fixed costs. It's money I've already spent. So I already had you come in for a couple hours to work. Your salary is a sunk cost. Now I have to pay you. I already opened the store for the day. I'm paying costs because I opened the store for the day. I already paid them. I already agreed to pay my rent. That money's gone. Okay? Money that we've already paid out that we can't get back, whether it's fixed or variable originally, is called sunk cost. And we don't make decisions based on sunk costs. Things we've already paid out, they're gone. And we don't make decisions based on those sunk costs because we'll get the decision wrong. Right? Too many times somebody says, I've already put, okay? And this applies to life too. There are times when you made a mistake in life and you bought something or you did something. That's a sunk cost. And you need to ignore it. The fact that you did something in the past or you bought something or you committed to something, that's irrelevant in your decision about what to do in the future. Sometimes you just say, I made a mistake, walk away, screw it, and you give up, you lose whatever it was you had into there. Okay? There was a restaurant that opened up across the street from UNLV, and nobody went there. Every time you'd go there, there'd be nobody there. There'd be one or two people there maybe. You just knew the restaurant wasn't working. But you also knew, we took bets, some of the professors, we took bets about how long this restaurant was going to last. And I picked a year because I figured this person was dumb enough that they were going to lose money for a year because they'd signed a lease. Right? We'll come back to that. They should have just walked away. That lease, once I sign it and I've agreed to pay it, that's sunk cost. It shouldn't affect my decision to keep going or not. All right? It's important to understand that marginal costs are how we make good decisions. Just like when we're making our choice, we want to look at the marginal benefits and marginal costs. Businesses need to look at their marginal costs, not their sunk costs or other costs. It's the marginal cost that helps you make good decisions. And we'll talk about that more. All right, so suppose that we set up shop and we are a custom truck company and people bring their new trucks they buy in and we put, flames on the side and hop up the suspensions and do whatever stuff they want. Okay? We have a big facility we bought and we have a lot of equipment we bought and we have fixed cost of $50,000 a month. Okay? If I have one truck, my fixed cost is $50,000 a month. What's it going to be if I have two trucks? Okay? My average fixed cost, my total fixed cost is still 50, right? But now I'm splitting that 50 up among two trucks. Now my cost is my fixed cost is $25,000 a truck. If I fix up 3 trucks, it's going to be $16,666 per truck. If I fix up 4 trucks, it's going to be $12.50 a truck. No matter how many trucks I fix up, as I fix up more and more trucks, my fixed cost per truck, my average fixed cost, is going to keep going down. I split my fixed cost up among more and more. In the music business, when someone makes music, almost all the costs are fixed cost. If you're Taylor Swift and you're making a song, you start out by hiring a producer and hiring writers, and you put all that money and effort into it. All that money goes first. It's fixed. So how do I make money in the music business? Well, if I spend $1 million making that record and I sell one of them, it's $1 million per record. If I sell 1 million of them, that's $1 per song. If I sell 5 million of them, you with me? Yeah. So the more records I sell, the more music that gets streamed or the more music that gets downloaded, the lower the cost, the lower those fixed costs per unit is. Musicians only make money off of music when they sell a really lot of it. People who make an album and they sell just a few of them aren't going to make any money off it because that fixed cost is getting divided by a small piece. Okay? Now, let's do some numbers here. So, we have fixed cost and variable cost and total cost, and Q is for our quantity. So, at a quantity of 0, my fixed cost is $50,000. Right? That fixed cost is cost I have to pay regardless of quantity. So if I don't fix any trucks this month, I'm still going to pay $50,000. That's what fixed cost means. Right? Since I'm not fixing any trucks, all my variable costs are 0, and my total cost of making 0 is $50,000. Okay? I fix one truck. My fixed cost is still $50,000. My variable cost of fixing up that truck is $20,000. My total cost was $70,000. So if I only get that one truck, that's $70,000 divided by 1. My average cost is $70,000 per truck. If I fix up 2 trucks, my fixed cost is $50,000. My variable cost is $35,000 for the 2 trucks. And in total, it cost me $85,000 to fix up the 2 trucks. But instead of $70,000 a truck, now I'm at $42.50 a truck. That's better, right? 3 trucks, $50,000 still in fixed costs, $50,000 in variable cost, cost me $100,000 to fix up those 3 trucks. 4 trucks, $50,000 still in fixed cost, now $60,000 in variable cost. It cost me a total cost of $110,000 to fix up the 4 trucks. All right? Now, let's look at each one of these separately. So, I'm not making any trucks, but my cost is $50,000. That's $50,000 divided by 0 is infinite. And yeah, don't tell any math professor I said that, but yeah, it's actually infinite. My average fixed cost, my AFC, you'll hear people say, which stands for average fixed cost. All right? Now I made 1, my fixed cost $50,000. My average fixed cost is $50,000. I make 2, my fixed cost is $50,000. My average is $25,000. I make 3, $16.67. I make 4, $12.5. If I fix up 100 trucks, my average fixed cost is only $500 a truck. Okay? No matter how much I produce, my average fixed cost keeps going down. Quantity is a good thing, at least with fixed cost. All right, what about my variable cost and my AVC? Average variable cost, AVC. Well, when I'm making 0, my variable cost is 0. My average variable cost is 0. Made 1 truck, my variable cost was $20,000. Again, I'm referring back to the table that was up there, right? Going back to that table that we did that first one. $20,000 in variable cost split over 1 truck is $20,000 a truck. When I made 2, my variable cost was $35,000. That's $17,500 per truck. When I made 3, it was $50,000. That's $16,667 per truck. When I made 4, it was $60,000. That's $15,000 per truck. Okay? Total cost. Remember that total cost, average total cost, ATC, is just the sum of the other 2. So if I took the last 2 slides and I added those numbers up together, I would get this chart that we're about to do. So my total cost when I produce 0 is $50,000. My total cost at 1 was $70,000. $70,000 divided by 1 is $70,000. So my average total cost is $70,000. Total cost of making 2 was $85,000. That's $42,500 a piece. Total cost of making 3 was $100,000. That's $33,334 a piece. Total cost of making 4 was $110,000. That's $27,500 each. As my quantity goes up, hopefully I keep my average cost going down, and it's more and more profitable for me to make those cars. Exciting. Good. All right, marginal cost is the change. So, first one doesn't count. To go from 0 to 1, I had to spend $20,000. That's my marginal cost of the first one. To go from 1 to 2, I spent $15,000. 85 minus 70 is 15. That $15,000 is my marginal cost. To go from 2 to 3, I also spent 15. 85 to 100. To go from 3 to 4, 10,000. 100, right, is 10,000. So my marginal cost is the change in my total cost. And remember that my fixed costs aren't changing, so it's actually the change in my variable cost. Okay? How are we going to get good at this? You want to get good at this and be able to do this stuff and ace the exam? How are you going to do that? Well, the answer is a really old joke that's not that funny. Right? You have a cab driver in New York, and he's stopped at a light, and there's some people there, and they're going to go to a concert. They want to go to a concert at Carnegie Hall. They got to figure out how to get to the concert hall. And so they yell at the cab driver, and they say, hey, can you tell us how to get to Carnegie Hall? And he looks at him, and he says, practice. Pretty funny, huh? Practice. It'd be like see a little kid with a basketball rocking around UNLV, and you say, hey, how do I get to the Thomas and Mack? And you tell him, practice. Lots of practice. How do you get good at economic stuff like this? You practice. Okay? We need to practice it. There's tables in your book. There's problems in your book. Right? Work them. We get to graph stuff. Our average fixed cost graph looks like this. As Q gets bigger, average fixed cost just keeps going down. So this curve keeps going down, down, down. Is it ever going to hit 0? No. It's something we call an asymptotically approaches. So that red line's going to get closer and closer and closer to the x-axis, but never get there. Our average fixed costs go down continuously as our quantity increases. Our average variable cost and average total cost curves look like this. They have a U shape. And why do they have a U shape? Why? Well, it goes back to that whole productivity thing. With the size of our building fixed, right? So we have a restaurant or a hairdresser. As the size of our building is fixed, as we add more workers, they get more productive and our cost goes down. But at some point, those additional workers become less productive. I have great time with my workers until I've got 6 of them in 6 chairs, and now the 7th one comes in and I don't have a chair for them, and they can fill in, but they really can't be that productive. Turns out that when we look at this stuff in the real world, we actually see curves that look like this. That if we look at one restaurant or one bar or one nightclub or one hairdresser or one bank branch or one pretty much whatever, we get this kind of U-shaped thing. You're going, yeah. If you don't believe me, let's think for a second. Are all fast food restaurant buildings about the same size? Yeah. Are restaurants like Chili's or Applebee's a little bit bigger, but kind of all the same size? Yeah. Turns out that car factories in the United States, except for specialty car factories like the Corvette factory, they all produce between about 200 and 250,000 cars a year. They're all about the same size. That suggests this kind of U-shaped curve where the best place to be is somewhere near the bottom, and that creates the best size for your business. If these things weren't U-shaped, then the same kind of business would be all sorts of different sizes. But the fact that it seems like fast food restaurants are all kind of the same size, that suggests that in fact these U-shaped curves do exist, and everybody wants to be near the bottom, and that tells them what their optimal quantity should be. And their optimal quantities should all be about the same. The size of the restaurant should be about the same. The size of the factories should be about the same. All right, we've already seen this. Remember marginal cost? It's supply curve in disguise. It's this upward sloping curve. It's going up because marginal productivity is going down. And it's this curve that drives that curve. This curve happens because this curve looks this way.